Precious and the Boo Hag by Patricia C. McKissack and Onawumi Jean Moss. Illustrated by Kirsten Brooker. Ooh-wee! Precious had been up all night with a stomach ache. Since it was corn planting time, every hand was needed in the fields. "Got no choice but to leave you here," Mama said. "Now remember, don't let nothin' and nobody in this house. Not even me, 'cause I got a key." After plenty of hugs and dozens of do's and don'ts, Mama finally left. "We're no farther than a stone's throw away," she called over her shoulder. "You need us? Come a-runnin', understand?" "Yes, ma'am," Precious answered, feeling like a big girl. "Don't worry, I'll be fine." "Do get yourself off the floor. Do your chores. Don't make a mess. Don't ramble in my things." Before he left, Brother pulled Precious to the side. "Be sure to mind Mama now, 'cause if you let somebody in, you never know. It just might be Pruella the Boo Hag." "Who?" Precious asked with a disbelieving giggle. Brother scrunched his face. "Boo Hags live all over everywhere, but Pruella is one who lives on the prairie. She's tricky and she's scary, and she tries to make you disobey your mama." Precious held her breath as Brother went on. "Pruella is strange from head to toe. She ain't too smart, got no manners, hates clean water, can change her shape, and tells whoppers." Then his voice lowered as he added, "And she'll do most anything to get inside." "Well, why does she want inside?" Precious asked, her voice quavering. Brother clicked his teeth. "You don't want to know. Just remember this. No Boo Hag can get in inside your house less'n you let her in." Then he rushed to catch up with Mama. Now Precious was all by herself. She stood stone still, listening to the quiet, hoping that if Pruella the Boo Hag was nearby, she wouldn't notice her, or see that she was alone. "What you doing standing like a bump on a pickle?" Addie Louise Patterson's voice boomed through the kitchen window, almost turning Precious inside out. "How come you not helping with the planting?" "Got a stomach ache," Precious answered, "and I can't let nothing and nobody inside, 'cause," and she sighed deeply, "it might be Pruella the Boo Hag." Addie Louise burst out laughing. "Who told you that silly old stuff? There ain't no such thing as a Boo Hag." "Really?" Precious said, mad that she'd fallen for another one of her brother's stories. "Better watch for the little green men from Mars, too," Addie Louise teased, and skipped away. Even though Addie Louise was sure to tell the whole county that Precious was a scaredy cat, the girl felt much better. "There's no such thing as a Boo Hag, especially one named Pruella," she told herself with a pinch of confidence. To pass the time, Precious looked through Mama's handkerchiefs, then tried on her Sunday hat and high-heeled shoes. She was having fun counting all the strawberry preserves when suddenly the birds stopped singing. The air fell thick and cold. Honeysuckle wilted on the vine, and the sunny day took on a dark and dreary disposition. Precious looked out the kitchen window. Didn't see nothing. She peered out the side windows. Didn't see nothing neither. But when she went to the front window, there it was, riding on the back of a storm. The biggest, meanest something Precious had ever seen. It had eyes of burning cinder and hair that shot out like lightning. "Pruella the Boo Hag is real," she whispered, "and she is one awful sight." "Open the door and let me in," shouted a voice that rumbled like rolling thunder. The wind whirled and twirled and shook the whole house. Precious shook too, and in a small voice she answered, "My mamma told me not to open the door for nothing and nobody." Quick she dashed behind a curtain and sang her fear. "Pruella is a Boo Hag. She's right outside my window. She's tricky and she's scary, but I won't let her in." The Boo Hag howled and threw lightning, but Precious held fast. Louder and louder she sang, "But I won't let her in." At last Pruella grumbled and sputtered, and poof! She was gone. Instantly the sun came out, the birds started chirping, and the daisies lifted their face to the light. Precious opened the front window and filled her lungs with fresh-smelling air, and she sang her victory. "Pruella is a Boo Hag. She was right outside my window. She's tricky and she's scary, but I didn't let her in." While she was still humming, a woman opened the front gate and came stepping down the walk, looking like a runaway rainbow. "Morning to you," she spoke real cheery, then took a seat on Mama's porch rocker. "Good morning," Precious spoke back, noticing that the woman wore one pink shoe and one orange shoe. "It's hot as you please," the visitor screeched, looking over Precious's hide to see inside. "Bring me something to drink. Tea, juice, dirty dishwater will do." "Did you say dishwater?" "Said no such thing," the woman snapped back. "Hurry up anyhow, I'm thirsty." Precious wondered if the strange woman had ever heard of please. Returning from the kitchen, she handed the woman a cup of water. The woman flashed a crooked smile. "Now, young'un, let me inside to drink it in the cool." Precious shook her head and backed away. "I'm not to let nothing and nobody in this house." "Humph!" the woman grumbled and hissed and took a big gulp. "Water!" Ugh. She gagged and coughed and sputtered. One eye went to spinning like a top, the other started blinking, and her tongue rolled out like a scroll. "I said tea, juice, anything," she gasped. "But never, never did I ask for clean, clear water." True to brother's word, the visitor was strange from head to toe, had no manners, and hated clean water. "Can't trick me, I know who you are," Precious said, and she slammed the window shut. Outside the woman grew taller and wider. She roared like 100 swamp things. "Let me in!" Precious sang to muster her courage. "Pruella is a Boo Hag. She's right outside my window. She's tricky and she's scary, but I won't let her in." With the melody swirling around her, the Boo Hag vanished. Just then Addie Louise came skipping up from around the side of the house. "Hello, Precious," she said, not sounding a bit like Addie Louise. "It looks like her, it walks like her, but it sure don't talk like her," thought Precious, checking to see if Addie Louise's shoes and eyes matched. "Got some jacks and a ball," said the girl, her voice all scratchy. "If you let me in, we can play." "I told you I'm not allowed." Addie Louise smiled. Her teeth didn't look like hers either. "Yo mama told me I could play inside with you." Precious put her hand on the doorknob. "Well, if Mama says it's okay." The Addie Louise thing got so excited that her toes popped through her shoes. They were big and hairy and smelled awful. Precious pulled her hand. Thinking fast, she asked all sweetly, "Doesn't Mama look pretty today in her blue apron?" "Uh-huh, truly she does." "You're telling a big whopper," Precious shouted. "Mama's apron is green. Pruella is a Boo Hag. She's right outside my window. She's tricky and she's scary, but I didn't let her in." In a fit of fury, the Boo Hag left, leaping wildly over the prairie like a March hare. For the rest of the day, Precious watched and waited for signs of Pruella the Boo Hag. As a late afternoon sunbeam struck the front porch, an orangish flash of light caught her eye. It was a penny, all sparkling new. Precious wanted it. She tried to lean out the window to reach the coin, but it was too far away. She fetched the broom, but the penny wouldn't move. She'd have to go get it. Her stomach started hurting once more, and now her head ached too. Slowly, Precious opened the front door. Her eyes searched the yard, first right, then left. No sign of Pruella. In a dash, she hurried out, snatched up the coin, and turned to go back inside. But on the threshold, she stopped to look down at it. No, she decided, you can't fool me, and she flicked it over her shoulder. Poof! It was gone before it hit the ground. When Mamma came home, she was very proud of Precious. I knew I could trust you, she said, and gave her daughter a hug. Later, Precious told Brother everything that had happened. Pruella was scary, and she was pretty tricky. I almost brought her inside when she disguised herself as a shiny new penny, she finished with a big smile. But like you told me, a Boo Hag ain't none too smart. George Washington was on the front instead of Abraham Lincoln. That very night, Precious climbed into bed and drifted off to sleep, humming her victory song. Pruella is a Boo Hag. She was right outside my window. She's tricky and she's scary, but I didn't let her in. As you listen to her gentle breathing, look closely in the branches outside Precious's window. You may just see a strange and scary creature waiting to get in.